No state has been hit harder by coronavirus than New York. It accounts for nearly half of all U.S. cases. And now President Trump is considering a mandatory short-term quarantine on the state, or at least parts of it.
There's a possibility that sometime today we'll do a quarantine, short-term, 2 weeks on New York, probably New Jersey, certain parts, and Connecticut.
What about travel from those places?
Restrict travel, because they're having problems down in Florida. A lot of New Yorkers going down. We don't want that. Heavily infected, well, this would be an enforceable quarantine. And, you know, I'd rather not do it, but we may need it.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo joins us now. Governor, I know how busy you are. Thank you for taking the time. What's your reaction to what you just heard?
Good to be with you. And as far as the quote-unquote quarantine, which means a lot of different things now, obviously, in this environment, but that's where we are, that's what we're doing. We started a mandatory isolation. You stay home unless you're an essential worker. So we're doing that, and I think that makes sense. Makes sense for the state, makes sense for other states. Our neighboring states, Connecticut and New Jersey, which the president mentioned, are doing the same thing. So that policy, I think, makes sense. I don't know what an enforced quarantine means, but that's what we're doing already.
So do you have any problem with the idea of there being travel restrictions? Essentially, what I heard from the president is perhaps New Yorkers couldn't leave the state.
Well, that's not a quarantine. That would be a lockdown. If you said that we are geographically confining people, that would be a lockdown. Then we would be Wuhan, China, right? And that wouldn't make any sense. This is a time when the president says he's trying to restart the economy. New York is the financial sector. You geographically restrict a state. You would paralyze the financial sector. You think the Dow Jones, the stock market has gone down, it would drop like a stone. I don't even believe it's illegal. I don't even believe it's legal, interstate commerce clause, et cetera. So I think it would be exactly opposite everything the president is talking about. How would you ever operationally stop goods from coming to New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and food and trucks, et cetera? So I can't believe he's considering that. Also, the president has worked very hard to try to work with it.
What if he does want a lockdown? Would you sue to stop him? You said you don't think it's legal.
Oh, well, look, a lockdown is what they did in Wuhan, China. And we're not in China, and we're not in Wuhan. I don't believe it would be illegal. I don't believe it would be legal. I believe it would be illegal. I don't believe you can say you cannot leave the state of New York, or the state of New Jersey, or the state of California. And by the way, if you wanted to start to do that, that would ripple all across the country, right? That it's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut today. Tomorrow it's New Orleans. The day after it's Detroit. Then it's Texas. Then it's Florida. Then it's California. At the same time that we say we're trying to restart the economy, I think I can't remember in history when it was done. You'd have to go back to the Civil War to talk about borders of states like that. I think it would paralyze the economy. I think it would shock the economic markets in a way that we've never seen before. As a governor, I'm not going to close off my borders. Trucks have to come in, food has to come in, mail has to come in. I'm not going to put the health and safety of my people at risk. And it's not what the president has been trying to achieve. He's worked very hard to be working with the governors. He's worked very hard to be working with the state of New York. I spoke to him this morning. We have a good cooperative relationship. So it would be exactly opposite everything he has said and everything he has done to date. And it would be wholly counterproductive.
Have you talked to him this afternoon since he made those remarks?
No, I literally spoke to him just a few minutes before. We had a good conversation. We talked about additional aid for the state of New York in terms of temporary hospital beds. We talked about the medical ship that is coming to New York. But he never mentioned anything about a quarantine.
I mean, how would this even work? Do you think, I mean, would he send in the military to guard the bridges and tunnels going in and out of, for example, New York City, if it's just the city that's locked down?
Yeah, no, it couldn't work. As I said, it would be the pictures you saw on TV with Wuhan province in China. I don't even know how you could possibly do it.
You mentioned
we need goods coming in and out of
right.
New York.
And on
we
that
need
point,
food coming in. We need mail coming in. Yeah.
On your point that you made also about the financial sector, about being able to have interstate commerce, but also the financial sectors, it's the heart of Manhattan, right? What would this mean for the stock market? Would it have to shut down?
Oh, it would drop like a stone. I mean, I don't know if it would operationally have to shut down, but it may as well shut down. You say you can't come to New York to do business. Business people can't leave New York to go to Chicago for a meeting. I mean, it would be chaos and mayhem. That would drop this economy in a way, I think, that wouldn't recover for months, if not years. So it's totally opposite everything he has been saying. I don't even think it's plausible. I don't think it's legal. And it would really, it would be total mayhem. I don't have another word for it.
Well,
no
the New York
governor
Stock
could stand
Exchange
for it.
specifically,
The governor of New Jersey can't.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I think there's a slight delay with our signal here, but I was thinking about the New York Stock Exchange. Obviously, if it's, you know, again, it's a little bit vague right now about the quarantine that he's speaking of, but at one point he mentioned New York City. I imagine there are a lot of people who go in and out of New York City who don't live in the city who might be part of the New York Stock Exchange. So that's where I was thinking about an impact when it comes to the stock market, right?
Oh, no, you're exactly right, Anna. There are people who come in and out all day long dealing with the stock exchange. There are meetings, I mean, thousands of people coming in and out that are directly related to the stock exchange. So, and I know the president's very concerned about what's happened to the stock market. We all are. I am as governor of New York. Every person who has a retirement fund and has watched it drop is concerned. So why you would want to just create total pandemonium on top of a pandemic, I have no idea.
Well, if you think about the actions you took, right, when it came to New Rochelle, and you put in, you know, a zone that was somewhat restrictive, and you did that in order to stop the spread. If there isn't some kind of a lockdown, how do you get it under control? How do you prevent the spread from getting worse?
We had the hottest cluster, if you will, the hottest hotspot in the United States of America was New Rochelle, Westchester, as you said. And we did something called the containment zone that said we closed the school, no large gatherings. We never said you can't come and go. We've never confined people's mobility. We've never imprisoned people in a geographic area, even in New Rochelle. We called it a containment zone, which was not the best word. It was to contain the virus. It was not to contain people. We never contained anyone. I can't remember the last time this country said, we're going to contain you in an area. Again, that's why I don't even believe it's legal. You have all sorts of provisions, states' rights, interstate commerce, et cetera. So it's a preposterous idea, frankly. And again, it's totally opposite what the president wants to do, which is work with the states, help the states, get the economy running, and bring some sense of stability. You wouldn't, at this point, literally fracture the entire nation, because it's not just New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, right? It's Louisiana and New Orleans. And you're going to see these numbers continually going up. So every few days, it's going to be another hot spot. That's where we are. And if you start walling off areas all across the country, it would just be totally bizarre, counterproductive, anti-American, anti-social. It wouldn't even be productive. Look, this virus, you don't know who has it. We've done more testing in New York than any other state. That's why we know better who has it in New York. But once these other areas start to actually have the right tests and the volume of tests, you're going to see that it's all across the country.
Governor, will you call the president tonight and speak with him about this?
Look, if the president was considering this, I guarantee he would have called me. I mean, we talk about relatively trivial matters when it comes to dealing with this situation. This is a civil war kind of this is a civil war kind of discussion.
So you don't believe he really is serious about it?
I don't believe that he could be serious, that any federal administration could be serious about physical lockdowns of states or parts of states across this country. I don't believe it's legal. I think it would be economic chaos. I don't think the American people would stand for it.